G'day everyone, here we are sitting on the ground in Thames, Coromandel, or at the base end of the Coromandel Peninsula, New Zealand, in Microsoft Flight Sim and the Cowansim 500E. So today we're going to do a flight as requested by Speedheads on YouTube. We're going to do a flight up and around the Coromandel Peninsula, have a look at some of the towns and things along the way. I've got real world weather on, it's an early morning flight, so we'll just keep it as it is and see how we get on. There is supposed to be a front that's passing off to the east coast at the moment, so it doesn't look too bad at the moment. We may have to land and change the weather as such if it's too bad that we can't see anything, because we might as well make it a scenic flight so we can actually see stuff, but it's more fun having the weather on if we can. Right, we're good to go. I'll just change a few things here. Turn that off. Turn that off. Generators on. And we're good to go. Just get my VR headset lined up. And we'll unpause it. I have to have a pause when I'm setting up the recording software. Right. Mainly because my joysticks doesn't have a centering spring, so when I'm at the computer before I hop onto the sim seat, it's got a homemade extension on the cyclic, so it'll just it leans over to the side, and then obviously you can imagine what happens if you're not holding the stick when you hit record. It starts leaning the helicopter over. So where are we? We'll start take off to the north. Sleepy Thames here, just early morning flight. Got a bit of a northeasterly there, northwesterly blowing. So we'll go up the further Thames side, and we'll come back down the eastern side with all the open sea, the Pacific Ocean side. Now I'll just come out around to here a little bit. You can see Thames a little bit better. Looks like a bit of a marina there, is it? Maybe? Yeah, it looks a bit like it. You sort of get a lot better weather effects when you have it on real world than you do if you just select like one of their settings in the menu, just because of the variations of the atmospheric pressures and winds and things. Right, we'll just pick up the speed a little bit now, just about past Thames. I won't be able to name every town as we go over it, so I'll probably get a bit lost maybe. Been up here once or twice, but I'm not super familiar with it. The shower going over that ridge up there by the look of it. It looks neat with that sun just starting to come up over the ridges. Should be getting a bit of an updraft along the edge of this side anyway, because of the way the wind's coming. Sort of feel it there lifting us up, back off the power a little bit here. Bit of cloud build up on the top there of the ranges, but it's nothing too bad. I looked on the Met Service app before I got on the sim, and there is actually a really big long rain band front that looks like it's just moving off the peninsula, but it is angled. It seemed to be still sort of sitting on the top sort of end of the peninsula. So it'll be interesting to see how it portrays that in here, or if it's moved off by the time we get there maybe. You can sort of see what it could be, like the edge of it, that long white band running up the other side there. Get down a bit of height here. Probably going a little bit fast, but we don't want to take all day. Is that a river coming out there? It looks a bit like it, doesn't it? Yep, a little river coming out. All these little settlements along the Thames Coromandel Coast Road. Really feel that wind obviously coming from our left at the moment. It's keeps pushing me inland. I might just angle out a little bit, try and counteract it a bit more. That's better. I may have to try play with the weights a little bit, the way that this hanging left side low a little bit when you're at speed sort of gets a bit tricky after it blows. It just gets annoying that you have to keep trying to correct it. I haven't actually tried putting a passenger weights in the weight and balance to see if it changes this, how it handles. It's only when you're at high speed that it seems to do it, which is interesting. But then I guess I'm probably actually almost overspeeding to a point. Oh, there must have been cloud on the satellite image there. You can see that's what they do, is where there's no well, when they can't see what's under it, obviously when they edit the photo or the satellite images, they just put in some textures which can sort of they try and match it in a little bit, but yeah, it definitely isn't as good as having a straight satellite image. Might climb up a little bit as we come around the corner here. A lot of water, waves out there today. Start climbing a bit here so we can have a little look into the interior of the peninsula as we come up this side. It's fairly rugged. Pretty good hill country in there. Weather seems to be improving anyway, looking at it. Another river coming out below us. We'll cruise all the way up at least to the Coromandel town, and then we probably will cross across to the likes of Matarangi and Whitianga and that, and then come back down. We might get a little bit more height still up here. You see the coast road there just weaving its way right along that edge at the Firth of Thames there. Somewhere up ahead, I think the coast road sort of heads inland a little bit to go over some of the hills before it gets into Coromandel itself, but it might be up a couple more miles yet. And we'll just keep following it. neat spots to explore up in here, and all these ranges, all these little, this looks like these tracks and little clearings, and seeing some islands way up there in the distance, which I presume it's an island. It could be. Where are we? Yeah, it possibly is. Could be Great Barrier. Oh yeah, I think the road must go inland up here. Yeah, you can see it here, just out to my right. Just starts winding up that hill there. So it leaves the coast here. Just follow, we'll just cut the corners off it. But a couple of nice little bays up through here. This is where the peninsula starts getting quite rugged on this side. Like a lot more coves and bays and little beaches, settlements. And I think there's a lot of mussel farms and seafood or shellfish farms up here. Yeah, I think the road then goes inland here. It goes obviously around this inlet. Yeah, there you can see it out to the right there. We'll just cut the corner. Cool little islands out there. It's quite a bush-clad peninsula, this one. I think this is one of the last hills across before you end up on the flats, so you just sort of weave around until you're into Coromandel town. So we'll just quickly just bank over here and we'll cut the corner off. We'll just go straight across this bay. And we'll go to Coromandel town itself. A bit of cloud up on the end of the peninsula up there towards Colville and that. Coming up on Coromandel, you can probably see, I'll flick to the outside view, might get a bit of view. Out to our right, at about sort of 2-3 o'clock, you can see it just out there, and then there's some of it out on the peninsula in front of us as well. We'll turn now, come around to the right, go across the main part of town, and then there must have been a few boats out the day the photo was taken. Main part of Coromandel there. and we'll head up the hill road that cuts across the peninsula now. And see it winding up that ridge in front of us, and we should hopefully get into a bit better weather as we, well, I don't know about better weather, but a bit better lighting as we get across the ridge. I think the airfield's around here somewhere. It could be a little bit to the south of us, I think. Just back down that way. We might even, if we've got time, see how we go, we could just nip out around the Mercury Islands as well while we're out here. Pretty windy road all the way up this sort of ridge across the ranges. Weather's not looking too bad over the other side. Peninsula's not too wide up here, so it's not going to take us very long to cross over. We'll do some low level stuff, eh? We'll go up nice and low as we come across the top of this ridge. The road's kind of flattened out too, not all of it, but which makes it look a little bit more realistic when it's actually looks like it's cut into the hillside a little bit. And then it will wind down the other side, way back in there. Just see it in the background there, winding down that far ridge. Looks like a road going up that ridge there, is it? Could be. Yeah, it looks a bit like a road. Could be a gravel one. So I think that's Matarangi Peninsula, or the town of Matarangi out on that little point over there. That's coming back in towards, it sort of cuts off this harbour. Come around to the left, we might as well check out New Chums Beach, which is just to the north of Matarangi. I forget what the name of this other little town is here. That's it. So this is Bongapoa, coming up on Bongapoa now. New Chums Beach is just this little beach, it's supposed to be one of the, well, it's quite a top rated beach in the world because of the fact that it's no settlements or built up area in it, and it's a very picturesque sort of a beach. Bit of a rocky headland at the end if we come around into it. Just descending a little bit over the top of it. Probably not going to show up much if the trees are come right down, sort of like right over to the edge of the sand basically, and then it is quite a sandy beach, but with probably how the photo is taken, it'll be partially hidden from depending on what angle the photo was taken at. Right, now we'll head back to Matarangi and head off back down the coast. tide must be right in. There's actually quite a lot of sandbars and that through this harbour when the tide's out. So the Matarangi golf course. It used to be an airfield in the centre of Matarangi in the past. I think it's all been chopped up and subdivided now, and it's being developed and built on. Boat ramp down there. Right, we'll cut back around and head across to Whitianga. It's the main road into Matarangi. I think there used to be an old coast road, but I think it's eroded away and it's closed now. It's not very far across the hills to Whitianga. It's a little bit. It's about 20 odd minutes by car, which is yeah, just over to our right there. But we might just shoot out this peninsula before we get to Whitianga and check out Pedo Bay. Any of the other bays out this way. Probably won't have time to go all the way out to the Mercury Islands and that. That front's definitely moving offshore. You can just see that big cloud bank out there now. What we might do is change the weather just so it looks a bit more spectacular as we come down the coast. Where are we? We'll just make it like 9 o'clock, and then so it's not quite as early. That will look a bit more picturesque for us. Much as I usually like flying with the real world weather on, I think we'll just leave it at the moment and leave it up so it's a bit more spectacular. There's our Pedo Bay, that big round curving bay, and all the little Mercury Islands out there. The Great Mercury Island, the big one out to the left there. Right, now we'll turn, we'll head back in towards Whitianga. We'll do a run down the runway, and then we'll get off down the coast. Little bays in here. I think Cathedral Cove will be off to our left there, somewhere along with that bit of beach across there. I'm not sure, I've never actually been here, so maybe we'll skip Whitianga, because it's just literally another grass runway with a town. We might as well cut across. Well, we could go back to Whitianga still. I just want to check out if the new update's actually put Cathedral Cove in. I haven't actually been here since the update, so we'll go have a look. Pretty sure it's on this bit of coastline straight in front of us, if I'm not mistaken. Soon find out if it's been put in or not. Because there's a few other places that they've put in, like, well, they've put in scenic things all over the country, but Percy Island or Hole in the Rock in the Bay of Islands has been fully modelled and done, and you can actually fly through it, which we'll do in another video, and we'll fly through it. It must be Cook's Beach, just out to our right there, that long settled beach just in there. So this has got to be Cathedral Cove, just out there about 1 o'clock. Yep, looks a bit like it. It doesn't appear to be modelled though when you look at it. Be careful over this water, you can't sort of judge the distance when it's this glassy and smooth because you've got no wind on. So the cathedral, I think, if I'm not mistaken, will be right under that little bit of bush here that just pokes out that little point there with the bluish, lighter coloured water around it. But yeah, they haven't, it's not modelled. We'll go down a little bit lower just to check, but, or is it this one here? Maybe this one, I'm not sure. I've never actually been there, to be honest. I know it's in this area somewhere. I thought it might have been that one. Could be that one. It's on this beach anyway. Yeah, it's a shame they haven't modelled it. Oh well. Quickly buzz back into Whitianga. We'll land at Whitianga, and I'll just quickly put on some wind, because the wind, even if it's not cloudy, the wind definitely gives it a little bit more chop to the water, so it's a bit easier to see what we're doing. Actually, maybe we'll just land on this point here. It's a nice grass paddock to shoot an approach into. Sorry, farmer, we're going to be using your paddock for a few minutes. Right, we'll just sit here for a second, then we'll just change this weather. It a little bit, we'll make it an easterly, northeasterly. On the same, so we don't get too much wind shear. That should give us a bit of, hopefully a little bit more wind chop on the water, just so that we can actually see what we're doing. A little bit there now. Still not. It's not major. Like there's no big 3D waves or anything because I haven't got it on really severe wind. And Cook's Beach out to our left. Like if I was to wind the waves up, which I might be able to do while I'm flying. It's probably not ideal, but we'll see. Put that there. Oh, that's not good, having it too close to my face. It's getting a little bit close to me. I'm going to have to turn this off for a second. And I'll turn it back on. that's better. Put it there. I'll go for the surface wind. See the difference, it just sort of picked it up a bit, and you can see it's a bit more wind chop there. Now if I drag it up a bit more, so then we've got white caps. It's getting quite gusty. That's, yeah, pretty windy. We'll wind it back to that'll do us. At least it looks a little bit more choppy now. So we'll go into the airfield, which is just up in front of us here. You see, we'll fly out via the waterways at Tauranga. Just come straight in for the grass. Fuel pump there. I think it's a fuel pump. It's got these danger signs next to it. Yeah, it looks like a fuel pump. But we don't need fuel at the moment. We'll fill up further down the peninsula, so we'll get off out of here. For a look at the waterways. Normally wouldn't be flying this low over a town. Minimum of 1,000 feet normally. Looks to be further developments happening here to the waterways. I don't think this one's finished being developed yet. It depends when the ortho was taken too, I guess. Houses with their big boats outside. Right, let's get on down the coast. Next one we'll stop at will probably be Pawanui maybe. Just have to adjust my headset there, the nose piece started coming out. Another marina there by the look of it. Outside view as we leave Tauranga. It's going to be a little bit longer video than I normally make, but we'll try and get all the way back to Whangamata, maybe. That's pretty much down the bottom end of the Coromandel Peninsula. Yeah, Tairoa. Pawanui we'll get to next. The wind's pushing us inland because I've swapped it around now, so it's coming from the northeast. Should help push us along a little bit, but it's going to blow us a little bit inland too. Just aim for head for the coast, and we'll just follow the coast down. We'll make it. If I can get this to work. A little bit later in the day, just because that's quite a white sky there at the moment. That's better. There we go. Not sure what the name of that beach there is, but there's quite a lot of different beaches around here. There's, yeah, I can't really name them. I'll probably get mixed up. There's so many different names. I think I can see Pauanui ahead. Pauanui's a little bit like Matarangi, that it's out on a sort of a sandy, almost like a sort of sandbar type peninsula that sort of cuts off a harbour. It's not as big a harbour as the Wangapa or the Matarangi one. Oh, my headset just momentarily locked up on me there. Can't take your eyes off the controls for 1 second when you're flying a chopper. Wait, not your eyes, but yeah, if you let go and look somewhere else, things go to custard pretty quick, as you just saw. It's a neat little grassy ridge top there. Hardly a farm, I wouldn't think, but it's definitely a grassy paddock just in the middle of nowhere. There's a few of them around here. Alright, you can sort of start to see Tauranga is coming up on this ridge just right in front of us here. There's some of the outskirts and developments of Tauranga. Beach, lots of little beaches. Tauranga itself, and Pauanui just straight on the other side there. They almost seem like they're the same thing, but they're separated by the harbour, obviously. Yeah, it's a fair drive up to the end and around. I'm not sure how long it takes, maybe it'll probably be 25 minutes or so, I suppose, maybe more. Pauanui's got an active airfield in it, and it's got a lot of houses down the side. People have hangars underneath their house. They're joined onto the runway. You sort of see it there running perpendicular to the beach. We'll do a flyby down it. We'll lift off again. And there's the waterways in Pauanui. All the houses with their boats out front. if you look, I'll just come around to the right a little bit as we're climbing up over this ridge. Let's see if we can see them. Up inland there, the pinnacles. Quite a high rocky outcrops in the Coromandel ranges there. Something I want to climb one day. I think that might be Slipper Island, and then you can see Mare Island way off in the distance straight ahead of us, which is a few miles offshore. I think Slipper Island may have an airstrip on it, I'm not 100% sure. I had a feeling it does. Yeah, my headset, there's a bit of... I'm not on the Reverb G2, which is the 4K one, I'm back on the Oculus Rift, which is getting a bit old and worn out now. Which is the only way I can get the smooth frame rates for the recording. But the rubber seal around the headset itself is just peeling a little bit, and it sort of irritates your nose a little bit sometimes. Just what happened before when we lost control a little bit. I'll have to stick it down with something so it doesn't irritate me so much next time. What do we got out here? A bit of forestry by the look of it. This might be oak tree, I think. Could be wrong. I think it's oak tree. Sea cliffs along here. I think this little one just up ahead that looks like a settlement at it might be Onimana. I think. Does look a bit like it. And then Whangamata should be our next big main centre, or main town on the Coromandel we come to, which is a pretty popular spot at the moment in the summer, probably all year round, particularly summer though. We might as well just about fly all the way to Tauranga now, since we're nearly, well, we're not nearly there, but completed like landing at a photogrammetry airport. Just put a little bit of pit speed here. Should just come around this corner, this headland, and then we'll be inside of Whangamata. hide here so you can have a good look. Looking back up the Waimata Harbour there. South end, it's quite a long beach on this one. One of the islands offshore there, I forget the names of them. Alright, we'll just beeline it straight for Tauranga Airport. Another beach coming up here. So realistic, looking straight down at the sea with those islands, just because of the way the photo's got the shows the waves around them, even though they're not moving, they're just still shots. It just adds that much more realism to it. Sort of start to make out some of the coastline now. It's sort of a little bit hazy, but that's a nice beach down there. This looks like the back of a farm somewhere. So should be able to start making out Waihi Beach and then Matarangi Island and then Tauranga at the other end. I think I can just see the mount in the distance, possibly. Just keep this tapped out, get us there as quick as possible. Just flick the outside view and have a little look around. My thumbstick for panning the camera is right on top of my cyclic, so when I try to move it, it's quite a stiff button that moves the cyclic a little bit, which is why the chopper rocks around while I'm panning around. Yep, there's the mount way down there, so we've got a few miles to go, but I'll just overspeed it a little bit and get us there quick. Basically just got to go down past Waihi Beach here, and down Matarangi Island, and then around the mount itself, and then I think we should be getting into the photogrammetry area once we get to sort of the south end of the Matarangi Island for that Tauranga area. And fuel's down to quarter, so we should hopefully have enough to get there. Put 80% in before we started the flight today, so we should have enough. Waihi Beach is one place I've never actually been to. I presume this is it here, running along this big long white sandy beach. There is an airstrip here somewhere, not entirely familiar with where. I think it's somewhere, it could be at the south end there, or just quickly shoot across. Yeah, looks like it just there. Yep, there goes the Waihi Beach airstrip. Supposed to be a good cafe nearby somewhere, I'm told. Nice and low over these, waking them all up. A few trees out there in the harbour. It's a bit of a defect. Right, I think we're just about to cross this little bit of a entrance to this. I think it's an entrance to whatever's behind there. I don't know whether it's, I suppose it's a harbour. I forget the names of all these places. But this is Matarangi Island in front. But a few farms and some forestry on it, I think. Put that wind up a little bit just so we can see a little bit more interesting out on the water. There we go. That looks a little bit better. Oh, hang on, I'll just turn off my menu. I'll drop down again now. Not quite so flat now, it looks a little bit more realistic. The only thing it doesn't have is actual swells rolling in onto all the beaches. One day the Sims will probably do that with 3D waves, but at this stage they've got 3D waves now, which we didn't have in the past. A few random trees here that have got lost from the forest by the look of it. You can see the mount there in the distance. See, it's just a long straight beach right out here on Matarangi Island. We'll buzz up around the mount. I'll just have a look because that's all photogrammetry, so it should look pretty detailed. We may even see if there's a spot on top we can land. it's coffee time. Really notice this left side low at speed. Like I've pretty much got full left pedal. If I let it off, yeah, it sort of rolls off again. Push it in and it keeps it level. Right, here we go. Should be, oh, you can probably actually see that line there. It runs it on a bit of a diagonal across the end of Matarangi Island there where the photogrammetry stuff starts. So we'll go up past the mount itself. Buzz around the top so we can find somewhere to land. Must be the walking track there winding its way up to the top. You can just see it on the side there. It's probably the viewing area at the top, that little dirt patch. So we'll go around and see if we're going to come back in and land on that. We may have to come in from where we are now due to the way the wind is, but look at the detail in that. Track's fully cut in. That might be the viewing area there too. That looks like a challenge to get into. Artifacts along the edge there, but the water's cut off. Check out this one, we'll come around. If we can get in there or not. It may not be big enough for us. Might be able to fit in here, but I don't know what that is there. Yeah, we might go to the other one because it's scanned. Those are all 3D, those lumps, and they'll probably be uneven to land on. This one here looks good. Yeah, sitting on the top of the mount. Walking track, you can see that it's a little bit, there's a few up and downs, but that's probably because it's scrubby sort of stuff, but the fact that it's all scanned and cast shadows when you're up in the air is just amazing, just like when I was doing on the last video. So there's downtown the mount here, just come off this cliff here and drop away. Right, we'll shoot over the hot pools just down below us here. And we'll head back up past the wharves and the docks, the ships and that, and round to the airport. Container ship there at port when the scan was done. All the logs, a lot of forestry. the area over the hills and the Waikato and that, so all the logs are there. Kaingaroa and that, Bay of Plenty forests. Another container ship or two there. Looks like they've been unloaded. Rows and rows of logs. And there's the airport just around the corner here. Just cruise up and park outside one of the hangars just up from the terminal. You actually see the wind effect now, how much it is actually blowing. The crab angle coming down the runway here. And that's just to stay flying straight. So we'll come across now. Pick that one there just to the right of the fuel pumps. Right, that'll do us. Yeah, it's a bit longer than normal. I just want to wind the throttle down now. So we'll just pull the power. Yeah, catch you guys on the next one.